So this is part 4 in my series on Roadside Nick. From here on in, the discussion is a less formal kind of discussion. They've finished the interview for the camera, and it is now just a more relaxed kind of discussion, which I think is actually more important for us to really look at than the interview, because it is a more relaxed feel about it. So it actually starts out with Josh asking a question, and you also have Carson, I believe, asking questions at one point. So let's just jump in. If you haven't seen the previous videos that I've made on Roadside Nick, I will add a link in the description so you can go and check them out. Okay, so part 4 of Roadside Nick.
I got some questions. Based on just everything you just said and your experiences there, what is your outcome? What do you think went on?
I think something was going on between her and whoever the male was that she was with, is from what I saw, just due to her character and how she was holding herself and the questions that she was asking. So I think something happened to her more than something accidental.
So here he's talking about the bigger picture of that whole experience that he had, and he's saying that he doesn't think it was an accident, that something did happen to her. He's also noting tension between the girl and the guy, but that could of course be misinterpreted if in fact the girl is not Kylie, as we believe, and the guy, as we believe, is also not Jagger. This could be that he was sensing them stressed out because they were in a difficult situation and they were worried about being caught out in that difficult situation. Remember that he is working on the presumption that the girl that he saw actually was Kylie, and that it was Kylie's car.
Based on how her car was positioned, which way do you think she would have naturally started driving?
Going out the road.
Towards town?
Yeah. To the road that leads you up to the highway. Yeah.
Any questions?
So with Josh asking him which way the car was facing and him saying, well, it was facing as if she was heading out towards the highway, this goes back to what I was saying on one of the previous videos about him not having any opportunity to go near the back of the car, because with the car facing towards the exit from Boca, then he would have driven straight towards the front of the car and parked at the front of the car when he reached the location. So this makes sense to me in terms of what I was saying about them possibly trying to hurt him and prevent him from going near the back of the car. If the car was already facing as if they were trying to exit Boca, he probably did not see the back of the car at any point in time. Note how with this more relaxed form of questioning, he is also having no problems whatsoever with directly answering the questions that has been asked. There's no word salad, there's no hesitance. He straight out has the answers. To me, listening to this more relaxed part of the conversation makes me lean towards Nick being a credible witness.
Can you, we're not videotaping, can you show him? I can zoom in and find the right part. Because I got the precise right part on his. I don't want to show you that.
Here, just talk about it again. I'll turn the recording on.
You have it pinpointed?
Because that's crucial.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, it was farther back. I wasn't even going that far back on your phone. There you go. So if you zoom in right here, so her car was right there, facing diagonal down, and I pulled in my van right here. Okay. When she came in, but she was trying to come out this road where her car was. So it's kind of weird that it was in the middle of the road, and on top of that, like, it wasn't starting because it was in neutral. So obviously she had to stop for some reason and get out, which now I'm looking back at it and I haven't even thought about it this heavily until now. Yeah. That is kind of weird because she was, like, as you can see within the road. Oh geez, where'd it go? Is this it? Hold on. Yeah, this is it. And so right there, how she was coming out this way, so and out of
her front end was facing 894.
Yeah.
So, with nothing else to make me think that he is being deceptive here, I'm going to treat this as genuine information. And a few takeaways that I have from this are this. One is that the vehicle wasn't parked. The vehicle, as he said, was in the middle of the road. But at the same time, if you look at that particular road, there's several different tracks, and that arrow points to a slightly shorter track that goes between two main tracks that would head to the highway. So, just a thought. We've had the accounts of there being an after party. What if the car had actually been there all night? And now the two individuals that he's discussing have perhaps sobered up enough to realise that they've got to get that car out of there, and are now trying to figure out how to get it out of there because it won't start. Had there been other vehicles parked around that area, and just that car was the last one there because others had cleared out because something went wrong. He says that the vehicle was parked facing the road as if it was headed out. But let's just say that there was a party at Prosser and Boca was the after party. Which direction did they come from if that's where the after party was? Did they come from Prosser, and is the car facing that way because it came from a back road and was therefore facing towards the highway because that's where it was parked? Or could it have been a case of people just parking their cars where they could, facing in any direction? One crucial question, which to the best of my knowledge has not been asked, is what time was the call made for roadside assistance? Sometimes when you call for roadside assistance, there can be quite a wait. So how do we know that they hadn't been sitting waiting there for several hours by the time he arrived? Is it possible that the roadside assistance call was made much earlier in the morning? Now, if he was working on the presumption of a dead battery, he may not have noticed. But I would be really, really curious to know if the engine was cold when he attended, because that would tell you if the vehicle had been driven that morning, or if it had been driven any significant distance, or if perhaps it had been sitting in that one location all night, because he says that he believes that they were there all night. They seemed ruffled. If we are presuming that this individual is not Kylie, is it possible that they hadn't yet driven the vehicle at all, and perhaps had attempted to drive the vehicle, somehow got it stuck in neutral because they didn't understand how the gears worked, and then thought that the vehicle was broken down with a flat battery?
All right. Did you leave before her, or did she leave before you?
I left before her. Okay. Yeah, I don't stay at my calls after I fit.
Yeah, and plus you advised her to let it run for a little bit.
Yep.
Was there anybody else around?
There was people far back here, yes, but not near her, no.
Okay.
Just her and that gentleman that was with her.
I'd like to know more about the people that he observed who were further back. Were they teenagers of a similar age? Were there many cars with those people further back? Can he remember a specific pet car with those people further back? That could be something that is actually quite important. But nobody thought to ask him that, which is a real shame. Because one of two things is happening there. If this was Kylie's car that he attended, then those people that were further back either were involved in what happened and were perhaps staying out of the way while the other two individuals got the car sorted out, or they were unrelated witnesses who could actually say what they saw on that particular day and who could come forward and collaborate this story that we have from Nick. Either way, those people that were in the background are actually important.
She was camping in that campground right there? Or do you think she's just broken down?
I think she, the campgrounds are farther down, like a little bit, like you're closer to the beach, so she possibly could have been there, but like in her car, there was nothing in her car, like it was just seats. There wasn't like camping gear, a tent or a sleeping bag or pillows or anything like that. It was just like your normal seats.
Did you notice anything in particular in her car at all? Stuff?
Besides perfume bottles and actually there was a perfume bottle that was in the center console, and that was all that I recall, to be honest.
Did she have anything on her keys at all?
I don't remember what was on.
Okay.
There's several things here that make me think that he actually is being truthful about this encounter. First of all, the narrative that we were given about Kylie being drunk and the story of her laptop being in the car, which we did later apparently discover, were they wanting, if he was a plant and he was trying to help push a particular narrative, I would expect him to talk about cans of Truly being in the car and seeing the laptop in the car and the things that we were later told should have been in the car. But instead, he mentions a perfume bottle. He says there was no camping equipment. He can't remember seeing much of anything else, but he did see a perfume bottle in the center console. He also, when asked if there was anything on the key tag, said he can't remember. Now, if someone is trying to create a narrative, often rather than saying they can't remember, they will try and insert something new into the narrative there. And we also know at that point in time that they were looking for that Zoomies keychain. So, were he trying to push a narrative, he could have just said, no, it was just keys with nothing attached. Because at that point in time, apparently, the keychain was missing. So, a few things there that to me say that he is credible. As far as him saying that there was nothing on the seats, let's think about this. Now, if we have Kylie's laptop and various things like that in the vehicle, first of all, he was prevented from going further back than just the engine area and the front seats, by the sounds of it. So if there was anything on the floor behind the front seats, it may not have been readily visible to him. Likewise, if there was anything on the floor in front of the passenger seat, he may not have noticed it from the perspective of being the person trying to get the car started, meaning that he may have only if he actually went in the car and was the person trying to start it rather than getting the girl to try and start it, he may have only been looking on the driver's side of the vehicle. And of course you have two people there. So were those two people in the vehicle prior to him turning up? Because if one of them was driving, let's say the girl was driving, or was wanting to drive, then would the boy have hopped in the car and anything that was on the passenger seat sat it on the floor in front of the seat? Or it could have already been in front of the seat. We know that Kylie apparently drove Mags to the party. So could there be stuff on the floor that he simply didn't see?
All right, any other questions from anybody?
Did the investigator that you got a hold of, have they called you back did they grill you with questions too at all?
So
details?
So he drove me with a whole bunch of questions. This was over the phone. And at that point in time, then it got escalated to my company, so then they could handle the rest. And at that point in time, I haven't heard anything since that.
So I commented previously that I thought it was odd that given that he had done an interview with a detective, that he should have actually known which day it was that he attended the vehicle at Boca. But thinking about it now, he says that he only spoke to the detective over the phone. So he only spoke to the detective on that one occasion, and he didn't hear anything else back from them, because it was then passed on to the company that he worked for. So it would make sense to me that as far as verification, that the detective would have been more interested in getting the verification from looking at videos and logs, etc., from the company, and therefore didn't really need to get those more detailed bits of information from him. They're probably more interested in a witness statement.
But did you say that you guys have cameras that could possibly get some sort of facial recognition on?
Yeah, so we do indeed. We have cameras facing front and rear of our vehicles, as well as that we do have like audio, so we could pick up audio from inside and outside of the truck. So we did have that, and I'm guaranteed, I mean, my vehicle is facing directly towards hers, so, and that's how I normally do it for my protection, but, so you're able to see the full vehicle, including her and the male that was with her.
And your company has seized all of that, and they're working with the authorities on all that information.
And just a reminder here, now I don't know if the video is still up on YouTube, but CC did actually go out to the particular company and get footage of the roadside assistance van that Nick had been driving, and that footage showed quite clearly that there were cameras front and back. So that, of course, also adds credibility to Nick's story. So at this end of the interview, I'm leaning back towards thinking that Nick actually is credible. To me, there's no obvious signs of deception that I can identify, but I'd be very interested to hear other people's observations.
Yes, sir.
But it's probably buried in all the tips that they have, honestly.
Not something like this. Did
you say that they said it was
The investigators said it's his most biggest lead that he has on the case,
So
biggest lead, in a case.
I'm going to stop it here before the discussion moves on to the male that was there with the girl when he attended the car, because I think that conversation does become quite involved. I certainly have a lot to say about it, and I have a lot of speculation about it, and I also think it's a topic that needs to be handled with care, because we need to avoid going back down that road of accusing the wrong person. In my opinion, it is the wrong person, I think we really need to step back and pay really close attention to the discussion about the male that was with her at the time. And I think that on its own is quite possibly going to take up the entirety of the next video. So, thank you for listening. Hopefully you will come back for the next video when we discuss the male and his description of the male and their conversation regarding the male. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. It helps me to grow my channel and to get seen by more people. Hit the like button. Likewise, it helps me get into the algorithm. And please leave your thoughts below in the comments section. I am loving the discussion that is happening around this particular video. There's a lot of really, really good points that are being made by people, and I'm hoping that this discussion will continue. Anyway, thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more.